Sunset limits as she took a nosedive. 42 plus 5 crew, they didn't make it out alive. The day September 22nd, the year 1993. No failures report on the railway. All signs and signals were green. All signs, all signs, all signs and signals were green. Willie Odom, he piloted the tugboat. He couldn't see around the bend. He hit the bridge and bid by you could know Willie was never the same again. 42 plus 5 grew, they didn't make it out alive. Mayday, oh, Willie Odom cried out, I think I run this boat ashore. I can't find my compass, and I don't know where the hell I am anymore. 42 plus 5 crew, they didn't make it out alive. In the dense fog, they saw the flames roll out. Willie pulled the boat next to the wreckage, 17 souls they pulled out. The 42 plus 5 crew, they didn't make it out alive. Willie Odom, he was never charged. 17 souls is dead to karma pay. He and the mafia love ended up separating ways. 42 plus 5 crew, they didn't make it out alive. 42 plus 5 crew, and Willie Odom never survived.
guitars love each other, by the way. This guitar is like
They got a bromance.
so friends with this guitar. They were like,
They like each other.
I was just like hanging on, being like, oh man, get a room.
Yeah, I was a little uncomfortable there. We were we're glowing, like, oh my God, should we be
Like
watching
this guitar had eyes looking at that guitar, and its eyes were looking at this one. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God. I miss playing with you.
that was cool, right?
Mhm.
Fun.
We should introduce our guest.
And
This is-
dear
Allison.
friend.
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Or me?
Both.
Both. Yes. But in front of the camera, we have
Oh, right.
Nick Tuttle.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hey,
It's my sexy podcast voice.
how's it hanging?
Hey.
Hey. Dude.
We've been waiting to have you on. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
We when we came up with this idea to do this podcast supporting community and musicians and all that, we always wanted you to be the first guest because you brought us together as friends.
Yeah, you're kind of the nexus.
You are the center of our relationship,
Yeah.
and you've built such a community of really amazing human beings that we've gotten to know over the years. And several have committed to come onto the show in the future. You know, people that are fine-tuned musicians, but came to you because they wanted to learn something new, maybe some emotion, some feeling, a whole different style of looking at their instrument. And we've met some amazing people because of you, but
Yes.
most importantly, we love you. And we
Oh my
wanted you
God,
to
you
be the
guys.
Yeah, I know.
first
Well,
person.
it's not
Me
going to
too.
say, it's going to be like an hour of this. So just like get ready.
Get your
Get
tissues
ready.
out, Mr.
Allison too. Like when you come on too, it's going to be like an hour of this. So
Yeah.
just like steel yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my shucks, that's awesome.
I could tell the first story when I met Nick, and I might reserve the story when I met Allison. You know, she's over there laughing in the corner. You can't see her.
You know the story.
It's my favorite
Allison
story.
is-
Yeah.
Story.
So we're going to have to, you tell your story and then I'll tell mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
No, you go first
Okay.
because you were there first.
It was a rainy day, and it had to be a Tuesday night because you were playing at the Lemon,
Mm-hmm.
the Blind Lemon in Mount Adams, and I was just tooling around with some friends, and it was so rainy and kind of dreary, and it was probably the same time of year, maybe September or October, I don't know, but it was dead on the streets of Mount Adams. Anyway, my friends and I, we scooped down into the boughs of the Blind Lemon, and Nick was sitting playing, and he played one song, and he decided he was done because there was nobody there. And he's like, I'm going to call it a night. Well, I scooted off to the ladies' room, and my friend said, please stay longer, and convinced him to stay. And he ended up not sitting at the musicians area.
Remember that, yeah.
He sat at the table with us, and it was just the four of us. There was no one else in the Blind Lemon. I mean, this is like a gift. You don't get this. And he sat down with his black ovation, which is
Still have.
Yeah, I know you
still
do.
have it.
I swore I would never buy an ovation, but I loved that one so much that I went out and bought an ovation. Anyway, he sat there and played, and he goes, "Here, you play something." And I didn't know anything. I think I knew one string tunes to a classical piece, and he was so
Played
gracious.
Romanza, I think.
Yeah. See, excellent memory. Yeah, and the fact that he let me play his guitar when I didn't know shit about the guitar at the time, other than I really wanted to learn. And he played several songs and handed the guitar, and then I asked him if he knew an original, and he played a beautiful song they had written for his abuelita.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the night I fell in love with you. I was like,
Aw.
oh my God, I love this person. He just is so compassionate and warm and supportive, and, everybody is a friend. I think that's my guitar running on the table. Anyway, he's just, that's when I knew. I was like, I love this person. And he's like, you should come take lessons from me. And I said, okay, sure. And this was, I think I was 39 at the time. That's how long we've known each other. That's how long we've been friends.
God,
We won't utter the age of us right now. We won't put that on the table.
I'm like,
I know. I know when your birthdays are. I've celebrated many of them with and without you. Anyway, and I just kept thinking, I'm not good enough to take lessons from this man. I better go actually learn something about the guitar, which is such a silly way to look at it. You know what I mean?
It's kind of perfectionist.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's a character flaw.
It's not a character flaw. It's not. I'm not going to let you say that.
Okay. Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So let's hear your story about meeting Nick.
Well, I had been missing music for a long time. I had played an instrument years ago, and I just wanted music back in my life. And I happened to be flipping through, was it City Beat, Allison? Okay. It was the very back part of City Beat.
Yeah, next to the question.
Right.
Ads.
Yes,
That was like
exactly.
my favorite part.
So you get back to the end of it, and it
Yep.
was a short little blurb about guitar lessons downtown at a studio. And I remember talking to you, Allison, later, and you had told me that like you only ran that for a very short period of time because So anyway, I answered the ad. And then I came down to the studio, and this is when you had moved from Mount Adams downtown to your studio downtown on 12th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came up for my first lesson, it was like Allison was in the process of painting.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember
like
she was up on a ladder.
It was like chaos. I
Yep.
came in, and I had like this shitty guitar that I had gotten for Christmas, like as a gift, And I brought that in, and I had never played guitar before. And of course, you asked me like, what song did I want to play? And I said, and I named a particular song. It was Zebra, and it was the most complex, like
crazy ass
tuning song, and you just like went with it. So I remember you like kneeling below me, putting my fingers on the strings and showing me how to play it, while Allison is like painting the studio. And I was like, this is the kind of chaos I could get into. Like, I love this. Like, you guys were like so kind and accommodating.
This was in the Germania building?
Yes,
Yeah,
it was in
I
the.
love
It was
that.
right. It was right after you moved down there. It was very soon after you moved down, and from that moment on, it wasn't like I had music lessons before on different instruments where they were like immediately. It was like scales, teaching scales, and I think I had told you explicitly. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And then you just were
This
like,
is why we get along. I don't want to learn scales.
well, you've also done the same thing.
Yeah.
Like scale, like you don't want to do scale. I
Yeah.
know it's important. Like later on, I was like, okay, well, maybe I should be learning scales. But like at the beginning, it was like the hook that got me in, as soon as I said, yeah. And so
It's such an interesting thing about like obey your appetites, kid. Like, because most of the stuff you were hearing was so like obscure, like really obscure tunings, and like not even like Dad gets some of it, but I don't think we were even into the Lisa Walker stuff yet.
No.
Wussy might not have been a band yet, or was Wussy a band?
I think they were a band, but they were not quite on my radar at that point.
Yeah. So you remember, I was like, well, we should probably do this like standard stuff.
Yes.
And then all of these years later, like when we started to do like the obscure tuning, like you took to that like a bug takes to flying, and then you started writing, and then when you started to write, it was also in the obscure tuning.
Yes.
Like like lots of tuning.
Yeah.
So
yes, it's true. It's every time I brought a song to you that I wanted to learn, that was like, I love this song.
Yeah.
I felt like you were always bracing yourself, and you would listen to it and you'd be like, what the hell tuning is this?
Well,
Like, hold on just a second.
But it says something to like just what's there from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like before you even have the instrument in your hand, it's like you're already like, if we're all little tuning forks tuned to a thing.
Yeah.
Yours was tuned to that specific way of hearing guitar and music in general. It's kind of like, playing like this is more illustration, right? It's like a fine line. And then like that kind of stuff. If you remember like Josh's paintings, our buddy Josh Parrott. We love you, Josh.
Yes. Shout out to Josh.
Yeah. It's like, what would he would kill me right now because I don't know what you would call it. Is it called impressionism? Or what is it that he does?
It's abstract art.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
What he does.
But it reminds me of those kind of like obscure tunings where it's like, I wonder what interval that is. It sounds cool. It's not hurting. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So do you find that this is a question I've always wanted to ask Nick, is when you because you've had so many students over the years, do you find that people are like that? They come in with like a tuning fork of something that they're kind of drawn to, and
Yeah.
then you kind of like adjust to what they're drawn to? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I think that's actually a good way. That's a good way to put it. But I feel like, yeah, like I'm adjusting to what they're drawn to, and maybe they're also adjusting to what they're drawn to. You know, a lot of times I'm not sure that they know truly like what they're drawn to, and I don't know what they're drawn to, but we both get down to the truth of it together for sure. It's always like, you know, knock on wood, that's been a pretty reliable way to do it, just to kind of like go with the flow and let the vibe of the conversation be there, because then inevitably it's like, hey, have you looked at this, have you looked at this, have you looked at this, and then there will be this thing that like really gets to them, and then they just take off like a bug takes to flying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a really like a very immediate example is our buddy Evan. You know, like because
Oh my
Evan,
gosh.
what a gifted guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, when he started coming to the studio, he had a white Strat, and he could play a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff, and you know, he was really into Hendrix, and he can still play all of that stuff.
He was just a kid.
Yeah, he was a baby. We have some pretty cruel pictures that we can. We're gonna DM Allison later for these pictures.
Check
of Evan
online.
when he's
There will
like
be links.
19. There's like the one where he has like cream on his face. We love you, Evan. But you know, we would play and play and play, and then like there was something like we were jamming on one day, or there was something in his right hand, like I would suppose, that kind of sounded like a little like Schofield-y. There's a guitar player that we both like a lot named John Schofield. You guys know?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wonder if he would get into that Schofield stuff. And then he of course did, and then that, you know, he kind of like, it's a little bit like you know, like just like kind of like knocking on things, just kind of checking around.
Yeah.
He's like, I
Seeing
wonder
what
if...
breaks loose.
And then after that, he's like this and this, and he came in with all these crazy like solo Jim Hall style arrangements and shit. I'm like, could you show me how to do that? That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But it definitely comes from that. I think that is, you know, if we're lucky enough that's almost always the path, that it's not like, you know, think about, that's just like life, isn't it? Like, think about all of the things that we thought were the best idea for us, but it's not really like that. You know, if we were to go with our first idea every single time, we wouldn't be in like the, you know, if you find yourself in a place that you're grateful for, you wouldn't be there without the information you didn't understand at the time.
Right.
So it's the same. And scene.
And scene. And that's it. So, do you have
God, every name you've mentioned from the studio, we've got stories.
Yeah.
You know, we've got great stories with Josh. I've got a funny one with Evan.
Love
I think
those
we
guys.
should hold on, back up. I think we should talk about the culture of the studio that Allison and Nick set up. That created this kind of welcoming.
I love that idea, and it actually leads right into
Okay.
my story about meeting Allison for the
Okay.
first time.
Okay. Let's do that.
So I think my lessons originally were on Wednesday nights, I feel, or Thursday nights. Anyway, it had to be Wednesday because you played at the Bistro on Thursdays, right?
Yeah, I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was a part of the Wednesday OG group. I mean, it was, well, we don't need to go through all the names.
John Epinitis.
Yeah, John.
John.
We know who they
Love
are.
John.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
miss
yeah.
John.
He's
Yeah.
in Cleveland.
Yeah,
I
we
know.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
We love
love you.
John.
Yep.
Yep.
So Nick says, you know, community-wise, getting back to just creating this vibe, which is genuine. He'd say, hey, why don't you swing by the Blind Lemon on Tuesday night? Other students come down. You get to meet some of the people in the community, and you'll get I'll be playing that night. I said, okay, that's great. Now, keep in mind, this is a while after I met him for the first time. He showed up at my birthday party. I almost blurted out the age, and we're not going to go there. And
It was like in 2004.
it was a while ago. And so, anyway, I go in and I'm sitting there and I'm looking out in the room. The place was pretty packed. And I thought, I wonder how many of these folks are Nick's students. And this gal walks in, and she's got a book, and she sits over in the corner by herself, and she gets a tea, something hot, coffee or tea. And I'm just watching her, totally puzzled. She sits down by herself. And she pulls this book out and she proceeds to start reading this. It's a novel. It's a massive book. And I thought, what a weirdo. Why is she? What a weirdo. What? Who would come into this place and sit and read a book while this great music's happening and the vibe in the place is really good? And I just kept watching her.
Oh my gosh.
Well, then Nick takes a break. He goes, Gal, I want you to meet Allison. And I went, okay. And he's like, Al, Pumpkin, come over here. Pumpkin. And she stands up. I was like, oh, shit. That's his girlfriend. I went, oh, God, I'm such a dick. I need to filter my thoughts more. But from that day forward, we've become very, very dear friends.
Reading War and Peace.
Yeah.
Was it War and Peace?
Together, yeah.
It was some Russian
Who
thing.
knows? I mean, who knows?
I love that story. Yeah. I will tell that until the day I no longer walk this plane. It's such a good one. Anyway,
Yeah.
community. And so whenever lesson was over on Wednesday, we would all mingle down to the Blind Lemon because there's usually a musician playing. Next thing you know, the students were consuming most of the tables at the Blind Lemon, learning, collaborating. What are you working on? That was always the question. What are you working on?
Yeah.
What are you working on? And that's one example of community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
What's your favorite tip and trick that you had when you were building community among your students and exposing people to different styles of music and variety in skills and level and
Well, that's a great question. So, like in terms of building, so what does Nexus mean? What's Nexus? You said the Nexus.
You're just like the
center.
So the center, the
Right.
core of that everyone kind of comes to.
Yeah.
the
so,
nucleus?
Yes.
like
Yeah.
building and like I don't know. So it's kind of like honestly, I feel like it is, not to harp on it too much, but I feel like it is a little bit like the lesson thing, so I don't really, I'm happy to hear when people, talk like that, but I don't necessarily feel that, of course. But I definitely feel like there's a we. I feel like we are part of it. And I feel like that there is a vibe and that there is a happening. And I feel like, God, like honored to be present for it, to witness anything like that happening.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like the nuts and bolts that go into that kind of thing, I am not sure that I could explain it. I'm not sure that anybody can explain it. I think it is just something that's happening, like maybe even beyond what we can perceive with our eyes and ears. But what I do know is I love what I do, and I love playing guitar with you guys. Like at the top of the thing, how you're like, oh man, that feels good. Like I definitely feel that, and it feels pretty much the same as the first time we played.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that is something that I can be cognizant of and feel and feel grateful for. I can really feel that part of it. And then the other half of it is literally my other half that is sitting off camera, who runs the other half of the studio. So like anybody that has picked that card up and has texted the number, it's really Allison. It's
Right.
not me answering,
Oh, we know.
We
Yeah.
know.
And so
we know.
she's like doing all the scheduling, and like, one of my favorite things, like I know I'm going to have a nice day when a new student comes in, or it's like their first couple weeks and they're like, can I just like live here? I just like want to stay here, because the vibe is so like great,
Mhm.
like her design
Yeah.
and like her like sense
The
of
warmth.
like where to put stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it is definitely like that's a massive part of it, is to like if you're going to have this really like lovely meal, like you have to have somebody to even build the table, not just cook the food.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it was intentional between you and Allison about when you opened the studio, when you opened the business initially, if you had that kind of intentionality about building community, or if you were just, I'm going to start teaching. Did you have an idea of how you were going to go about doing it?
No, I didn't. I don't think that there was any. And again, like the just going with the flow of things, I think is the idea. Because if you know, standing in your own, I guess like the advice would be like standing in your own way is the worst thing you can do. And we do it a lot.
Yes.
Almost everything. I could never do that, or I shouldn't do this, or this has happened and I'm so unhappy.
Yeah.
But it's only a moment. And like, you know, sometimes those things happen because the thing that is not just better for you, but better for the people around you, better for the community, or better for, you know, your internal, your like internal stuff, like that is coming around the bend, and it comes at the hands of sometimes discomfort. You know, what is the term? Growth is rarely comfortable. So no, I don't think there was any real intention ever. It was, you know, I had been teaching at a studio called the Slater Music Academy, and I was in a car accident, and everything was fine, but I was young enough that I was going to be without transportation, and that, you know, I think that I'm not sure I even had like a cell phone yet or anything like that. So it was just kind of like, you know, I was going to be on the hill, and if you wanted to still have your lesson, then you had just, you know,
Come to me.
Welcome to stay at Slater. I was also teaching with a guy named Elmer Monk at a club at a store called Making Music. It was out in Beachmont, which was also cool. And Tailor Made Sound, that was in Bethel. So I taught at a couple different places when I was very young. But when I didn't have wheels, and there was no Uber, it was just like, you know, you can come and hang out in my living room, and then that seemed to just kind of keep happening. So there really wasn't anything. There wasn't anything like, I think I can do this. Stroke the beard. It just kind of kept happening on its own.
Yeah.
So
I, you know, this whole concept of community, I often think about this community that you and Allison have created. When we would go to the Germania building and just be in this space, and you would have a student in the teaching room, and then the waiting area, beautiful seating, so comfortable and lovely, warm environment. And we, you know, there'd be 10 students showing up early and then never leaving after, and
For hours.
and hours and hours, and then we go sit in the stairwell.
Yeah.
But it's similar to me, as in when you let someone play your guitar, especially when they're an amazing musician like you impart some of your wisdom on the guitar. And I felt like this community that you've created, when we got together, this wisdom was seeping into our souls as individuals, as if we were letting the other students play our souls, and we became wiser and stronger and better musicians and better human beings. I don't mean to like inflate and blow this up, but I changed a lot as a part of being in that community. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So I liken it to letting me play your Ovation that very first night. I thought, what?
Yeah.
I know that that's a big deal. So anyway.
Yeah. And I love that, because I feel like it is like, you know, like that vibe that we're talking about, like, hey, this is great, and all the students are hanging out and we're learning from each other. I feel like that is, you know, our natural state. I really, you know, like, I'm not being contrarian. I think it's our natural state to be a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
Despite what the phone might tell us sometimes on social media. Or I think our natural state is to be a little bit more chilled out.
Well, you would always encourage, you know, if somebody got there for a lesson and they were in the waiting area, and then they would go in for their lesson, they would come back out. You always introduced that, if it was a new student, to anyone else that was in the room, and you encouraged them to hang out. And then always asked them to show, you know, what they were working on with another student, or another student to show what they were working on. So you always encouraged that kind of just continue. It was like a continuation of the lesson, but in a different way, if you know what I mean.
Do you guys remember Mark Weber?
Yes.
Yeah.
I ran into him the other day.
I saw him last night. He was at the gig,
Yeah.
and we were hanging out, and he was having was he drinking? Did he have any alcohol? Mom was having a Cosmo, and they were palling around, and that was cool.
That's nice.
But you know, I remember him saying that because he made pretty good pals with a guy named Cody, and Cody was about 40 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Maybe 50.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, but they were like clearly buddies, and God, if I remember correctly, I think they because he was a really good guitar player, and I think he and Bill Posey and a handful of other fellas and myself and Allison. And God, did you guys also donate? Like, we collected a little bit of money to help buy him a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was this
that's
guy.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
remember that.
Yes, but Mark had always said, like, it fascinated him about the studio is that, and this is a guy who is, he's a big time lawyer, fancy pants guy. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Fancy golf guy.
Mm-hmm.
That like he would be able to see. I'm sure that he feels societal lines a lot more than somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
But in the studio, when he was in there hanging out and playing with people, that all of that just went away, and even age even went away.
Yeah.
And he really felt that kinship with Cody in that way.
I felt very much that intuitively you just checked your ego at the door. It wasn't a conscious decision. You just walked through the threshold, and there was zero ego in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone genuinely wanted to help each other be better students and learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
it was
And that's
pretty
how
good.
we met,
It is how we met.
was through you.
That's true.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like the stat is like in my mind, think of, all right, Max Vignola.
Yes.
yeah.
Don't you guys love Max Vignola?
Yes.
He's coming
He's
on, by the way,
the show.
Oh, yeah.
in January.
So the stat is that nobody is like, well, there's that, Max is awesome and John Epinetis and man, God, this guy's awesome. But there's this one guy that, he's just kind of so-so. It's like the stat is like everybody's awesome. Like when I hear students recall other students that they've met, it's like, man, the best experience that they've had like ever. And I also think that is just genuine. It's a very, very genuine, maybe even human thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a testament to the community and the environment that you and Allison set up together to make that happen, for people to feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of check their ego at the door, as Kelly said.
Allison, was there ever a moment that you realized, oh my God, this is going to work? I mean, we can truly do this on our own. Had it ever washed over you, like, this is a real thing?
Do we need to bring Allison in?
Allison.
We need to-
You wanna come sit here?
Allison.
Yay.
I feel like because
yeah.
this is important. You're such a big part of this, Allison.
Amen.
So, Allison, I'm really curious about if you had a moment where you realized, holy shit, this is going to work. It washed over your soul. Oh my God, look at this community. Oh my God. He never has to go back to these other places and teach. It's just growing. And this is great.
So I always just follow in the wake of Nick's momentum. Since I met him, he is just this incredibly peaceful but driven individual, where he just has an idea and it brooks no discussion. It's just well, this is what we're doing now. And that is very peaceful to me, because I am a glorified worker bee. I decorating and making space. I will nest all over the place if you let me. But the nesting is
true.
It's for you guys, because from a very young age I was like, hey, kids seem like a lot of work. I don't want to do that. But what that did do was leave me open to be able to put all of my what little mothering instinct, but my human instinct into, he's like, I want to do this. And I'm like, that would be nicer with some color and some this and some that. But Nick always and I have to plug Bob and Elvia here, Nick's parents. From the time Nick was a kid, if he had said, I want to be an astronaut, I want to live in a commune, I want to go to Mars, no matter what, his parents were like, that sounds great. How can we help? We love you. You're
Fantastic.
amazing.
Very supportive.
And Nick takes that energy into his teaching. So when you say a student comes in and says, I will do anything but scales.
Yeah.
He's like, cool. He's like, how can I help? He took the way that he was parented, all the positive ways in which he was parented, and just puts that to work for you guys, for everybody.
Yeah, the supportive part, that's very, very well said, because I'm not going to name names ever for this, but like the
I
amount
will.
I have been like around some astonishing guitar players in the studio, and a lot of them have many of them, like a high percentage, have confessed that their parents were not supportive of the idea of them even going to music school.
That's a shame.
But it was very eye-opening to me that like the experience that I had with both my mom and dad being like, yeah, man, like not just okay with it, but very encouraging. Like I never had any, like I had no compunction. I didn't have any anxiety about it. It was something that was just very matter of fact in my home.
This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And so but man, like I think of all the people in the Rolodex I'm going through right now, I think I've met like one other person whose parents were supportive about the arts.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they weren't even a guitar player.
That's amazing. So you have kind of a yes and approach, it sounds like.
I don't know.
Yes to what people are saying. I don't want to, I'm coming in, I don't want to do scales. And so you build on that. So yes and.
I suppose.
Yes,
Yeah.
and have you thought about?
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is his.
Have
he
you
does
heard-
eventually get you
Have
into
you heard?
him.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. You eventually bring it in.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
to the scale stuff?
Yeah.
To music theory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it's
Yeah.
organic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. You'll be like, see this piano over here? Come over here for a minute.
Yeah.
Let me show you something.
Let me-
I love that piano.
Let me show you a scale.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about names for your guitars.
Yep.
I know you've named the Black Ovation. Do you remember the name?
I don't. Do you?
I don't.
I don't remember.
But you're the reason I name some of, not all, my guitars. They don't speak to me and say this is what my name is. But we've talked about this with other musicians, and I remember at the Lemon you had it was an adult recital. We were all there on a Sunday, and they had the whole space ready for all of your students to come in and play. And you said, "Kelly, what's the name of your ovation?" I said, "Carlos." Jose. I was rallying every male
Yeah.
Latin name off that I could think of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we were doing some Latin tunes that night, and it was funny. I know you've named some of your instruments.
Yeah. You know, I wish that was more a case, because I think it's super cool. Like when you hear about like Lucille and Trigger and
Mhm.
like, you know, like Eric Clapton had like Brownie and Blackie, like all of these like really, really cool, you know, but gosh, I can't, there might be one, but I typically just call them Larrivee or Ovation or 335. But I want there to be a name that sticks.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, I'm just keep waiting for them to say something.
Hey, call me by my name, would ya?
Yep.
Yeah.
I did. So I know what it's supposed to feel like because one of my bikes named itself.
Uh-huh.
I was having this like amazing ride earlier this summer. This is back before Allison's schedule changed and we were getting up much earlier. So I was riding.
What's early for you? 1?
Well, no, it's like 10.
I'm kidding.
Like
I'm kidding.
a human. But our schedule had not changed yet, and so I was like on the traditional musician schedule, and so I was like doing my riding at like between like 2 and 4 in the morning, which was awesome.
Crazy.
It was awesome, because you're out there in the night. It's just really cool. There's no cars. It's badass. Try it out. But I had this like Bose speaker. I was borrowing your Bose speaker, and it was like clips to the bike, and it was on this big steel chunky. I ride these Surly bikes because of Josh introduced me to
Oh,
them.
yeah.
And
The painter.
yep. And like there's a storm was coming, and I think I was listening to Ride the Lightning, and like, you know, the speaker was like vibrating the bike, and then there was like lightning flashing,
Oh, wow.
and it was the sickest experience. I was on Wasson Way, like heading toward Xavier, and like in the lightning flash, it just said like Thunder Horse. I was like, yeah. And so that bike,
Thunder Horse?
Yeah.
Thunder Horse, and so that bike is called Thunder Horse for real.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
You two shared a moment.
Yep.
So you name your bikes, not your guitars currently.
It named itself.
It named itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I want the Verbe to name itself like something cool, like Shadowfax or something,
Mhm.
but like nothing sticks.
No.
Something will come out.
So, what's your favorite style of music to play when you're gigging?
I think that depends on the gear that I'm playing. You know, like, so the 335 through the AER, through the Compact 60, has like this really, you know, like fortunate thing to have kind of like a Pat Martino kind of solid state dark thing, you know. And so more of that, I think, tone wise comes out, and then, you know, it's such a nice amp that I can sing out of it too. So I think it depends on the gear for sure. And I have a handful of nylons that you know that I play, and so
Yeah.
more Spanish stuff will come out there.
Do you go through phases where you're just vibing with a specific setup and no matter where you play, you're just in the zone with that setup? Or
Yeah.
do you say, oh, I'm playing the Quarter Bistro in Marymount, this is what I'm playing that night, and then I'm playing the Blind Lemon, and the acoustics in the room are so different that you have to accommodate the space and the audience? Or do you know, what do you do? What do you go through?
It's almost always the first one, where
Yeah.
it's just kind of like seasonally. Like right now, I'm in the season of the 335.
Yeah.
Before that, I was playing the Rick Turner nylon and the Epiphone, the Chet Atkins nylon a lot, and that will be like a couple months, and you just kind of like, you know, listen. You know, you put your ear to the ground and just kind of, you know, make sure to, you know, squeeze that sponge as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then keep your ears open to like what's inspiring you next.
Yeah. Do you find that you some days you might be practicing in the morning with your coffee, and all of a sudden that guitar says, "I don't want to play right now," and you have to say, "Okay,
Yep.
I hear you," and go kind of have a soul to soul conversation with other instruments in the lineup and say, "Okay, today, oh, you want to play," and then you shift gears entirely.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, but it's like much faster than that. It's like, oh, pardon me, you were resting. Let me grab this other guitar that, you know, I have 3 or 4 at the house that I can practice on.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the art, is trying to keep track of, like, I bet I'm gonna want to play a single coil
Yeah.
by December, or I, you know, always keep like one nylon string on hand for in case of emergency, or I always have the guild. You know, the guild that our buddy Dave worked on.
Yeah. We were talking about Dave.
Dave Schneider.
We were talking about him
Dave.
Thursday night.
Yep.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
At the last podcast recording. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
We were.
the mighty Dave Schneider.
Yeah.
Long may he reign.